How would you grade PJ Washington's season? And what does it mean for his fit next to Anthony Davis? We'll discuss that and plenty more on today's episode of the DLLS Mavs podcast. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella. We, of course, are DLLS Mavs. Appreciate you joining us here on this fantastic Friday. What does it mean for PJ Washington's fit next to Anthony Davis, with major questions going into the offseason? And how excited are you about the NBA Draft Lottery coming up on Monday, where we will have our watch along at 6 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe while you're here as well, and download our podcast by searching DLLS Mavs wherever you get your podcasts. It's free, Bobby, on this Friday afternoon. How we feeling?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. I cannot wait. Cannot wait for Stars-Jets Game 2 tonight. It's going to be awesome, and I get to talk about basketball until then, so it's a great day.
Shout out to the Stars. They're looking for a 2-0 series lead on the road in Winnipeg tonight. You want to make sure you follow our DLLS Stars crew, Best Stars podcast in the game today. They're going to have their watch along as well, as far as the game is concerned, as Nico and the boys look to go up 2-0.
Nico's going to do it again.
If he gets another,
I got a good feeling.
If he gets another hat trick tonight against Winnipeg, like, he's already the consummate, which is the playoff MVP. He's already, to me, the playoff MVP in the NHL. But my gosh, he has been spectacular. So shout out to the Stars. Hopefully they get a win tonight before they come back to the AAC over the weekend. And by the way, happy early Mother's Day to all of our moms out there. Happy Mother's Day to my wife and to my mom and to all the moms out there as well. So make sure you'll have a good Mother's Day weekend. Let's jump into it. Let's tie up some loose ends for yesterday, because there were some comments from some of you that got our guy Bobby Carella's interest piqued when it came to some of the discussion that we had. Not only did the Mavericks make some moves in terms of their medical staff, thanks to Nico Harrison, but also some conversation around where this team is from a roster standpoint, picks-wise as well. That could be some really interesting conversation, not just for now, but going forward as well here.
Yeah, just a couple things, and not in like a debate lord way, but I look at all the comments on our videos, and a lot of the times, you know, someone will watch a podcast or listen to a podcast or whatever, and then leave a comment. It's like, I didn't think about it that way, or like maybe I just didn't do a great job explaining it or whatever. And there was a comment from yesterday's show. I was getting a little sassy, all right, during the second segment. And I said it's almost like trading a future first-round pick for Grant Williams and then trading another future first-round pick to get rid of Grant Williams. So you're essentially trading 2 1s to correct a mistake and get the guy you wanted all along. And the comment was like, you know, this has been something that many people in the media have kind of criticized in the last couple of weeks, but then the Mavs were in the finals last year and no one really said a word about it. And that is true. That is true. No one really did say a word about it last year. The PJ Washington trade was a triumph, but you know, whenever you're talking about trading future picks, the reason that you're willing to do that, or the reason that you ought to be comfortable doing that, in my opinion, as someone that I value veterans on the scale of veterans to draft picks, I'm going to lean more toward veterans because I'm just old school. Those
are proven commodities for sure.
Yeah, and so I'm much more likely to say if you have a chance to go for it, then go for it. But you know, the Mavs then, by trading for AD, and that's before obviously they got Klay Thompson, and that trade was made before Kyrie suffered a torn ACL, and so all of these things, like all of the things that have happened since that trade, have made that move seem a little more dubious. Because if you are going to make that move under the impression, under the belief that you are going to be young, your team is still going to be, or at least your core will still be in its prime in 2029, in 2030, which is the year that the Mavs owe Spurs a pick swap, it becomes a lot more palatable that way. But if your team is going to be old, or if your core is going to be out of the league, which unfortunately there's a really good chance in 2030 that Kyrie, AD, and Klay are all going to be out of the NBA entirely. They're certainly not the players that they are right now. Then it becomes much more damning, I think, and much more spooky. And so, the actual trade itself, I really don't have that big of a problem with. Personally, I like Grant Williams. Trading Reggie Bullock and a 1 to get him was a steep price to pay, but if that's the move you thought was right, and then obviously PJ was the right move, undebatably. But since then, things have happened and decisions were made, and then some unlucky moments were had that have kind of, I think, recolored that trade and kind of shed a new light on some of the risks that were involved.
Yeah, because I think when the trades were made, they were made within the context of a 25-year-old generational superstar, increasing the ceiling of those players, especially with the fit and the skill sets that a Gaffer and a Washington brought to this team.
And those guys will still be around in 2030.
Exactly.
Getting PJ, who was 25, 26 at the time of the trade.
And with those guys, you felt like, okay, if you pair them with Kyrie, with Luka, we've built ourselves a kind of complete team to where if we keep these guys, especially that 77 character, if you keep these guys, those future picks don't necessarily mean all that much.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be a 50-win team. We're going to be competing for championships for years to come, where the thought of where those picks could be, it doesn't necessarily bother you in terms of the compensation, because the return that you got on the investment was a finals run last year, and then thinking that could be a stepping stone toward future success given where this team was. But now all that's kind of changed dramatically, not just in terms of what the compensation feels like and looks like, but also the team that you have now and how you're trying to build around an Anthony Davis and a Kyrie Irving, given where they are in their careers and the skill sets that they have relative to the players that are still on this team.
Yeah, and you're also trying to minimize future risk too, right? Like if you are trading all these future picks, then you're saying like what's to come is less important than what's happening right now. And again, that's fine. If you have a chance to win a title, go win the dang title. And the Mavs were close to doing it last year, and we think that they could have done it again this year. They could have actually done it this year. But you are forsaking future security in order for present gain. But then whenever you're trading present gain for slightly less present gain, then you're assuming way more risk in the future. It's like trading a newer car for an older one. It's just, instead of minimizing risk, you are maximizing risk. You're exposing yourself at least to the chance of more negative consequences. And unfortunately, we're experiencing all of them at once. I mean, it's just been Murphy's Law since that trade was made. So that's kind of my thought on that. Obviously, we got a lot more time to talk about it, in the future. But the 2030 draft isn't for another 5 years.
That's very true.
There's another thing, Mark had said about the licensing stuff, like, former strength and conditioning coach Keith Belton didn't have the proper certification to be the strength and con coach in the league. And he was like, it's more of a semantics thing than like, an actual scandal. It reminds me, KG, of when I used to shoot fireworks. I was a professional pyrotechnician for 5-6 years. I worked on fireworks shows for almost 10 years.
All right, time out. Which means all of us from now on, we need pyro intros. Like when it comes, like Tim needs one, I need one, Stein definitely needs one.
Well, it's important you say that because that does tie to the point. You got to be certified to do that stuff.
That is very true.
Even if you have the experience, there is a licensing process. You have to take a test. There's like certain qualifications that you have to meet in order to be licensed to shoot professional pyro shows, whether that's 1.3 grade, which is your big 4th of July big booms, or a 1.4 grade, which is like little sparklers at your wedding. And, we call them cakes, like the little things that you could go to a little shack off the highway and buy yourself. Shooting those in a neighborhood is very unsafe. I would not recommend doing that, especially if you're unlicensed and there are cars around. There's all these like policies that you have to know, and getting licensed is a reflection of your experience. Even if you are let's say, okay, you've worked 100 shows and don't have a license, it does imply to me that you're more experienced than someone that's worked the bare minimum of shows but has the license. In Keith's case, as I understand it, even though he had experience in the NFL, it's just a different kind of thing. You're working with different body types, different height people, different, you're putting different kind of weight and different sort of strain and stress on your body in football than in basketball. So not only was he uncertified, but also he didn't have a lot of experience in basketball, which to me is like the worst of both worlds.
Sure.
And so I did just kind of want to mention that. Like Tim Cato, for example, worked with me on a lot of fireworks shows. Tim was never licensed. I was. There is a difference in our experience level and in our knowledge level. Tim was a great crew member, but he was never lead. Like in order to be the lead, you got to be able to know all this stuff. So It's just kind of like I don't know. I do think it is more than just semantics.
Why do I want to pay to have seen Bobby McCrella and Tim Cato working on pyro shows? Like,
that's the thing. You wouldn't have had to pay. You could have seen them for free.
Oh, I'd be able to see it for free.
Yeah.
See, this is why I say everything is pro wrestling, because now I feel like you would have had a great career as a pyrotechnic, technician working in the WWE. You could have just been shooting off fireworks all the time for every show, going on the road all the time.
Well, I shot fireworks at FC Dallas games. We did some stuff for Baylor basketball. We did some Houston Media Day. We did some stuff for SMU football. We did Baylor football on the roof of their new stadium. Like, we did all sorts of stuff, man.
Well, look at you.
Him and I traveled the state.
I like how you made this sound like you traveled the world again. Traveled the state shooting off fireworks. I mean, but you're right, though. I think it's more so when it comes to how all this has gone down with the medical staff. It's not necessarily that Bolton didn't have experience in certain areas, but in order to work with the players that you're going to be working with, at bare minimum, do you have the certifications and the trust and the ability to work with NBA players? And even though he was, as Mark mentioned, going to be getting the certifications from the NBA standpoint, it still is rather odd that that wouldn't be something that on the checklist of things before you hired the guy. Hey, do you have the proper things to work with the NBA players, given the experience that you already have somewhere else? That could give us that much more credibility when we do hire you, instead of us finding out later, oh, by the way, he didn't necessarily have the things that you would want for an NBA, head athletic trainer or a trainer in terms of doing those things to be qualified to do in that way.
It's just like suggests, like, and I don't want to be just such a cop about it and such a buzzkill, but it's like it reflects, in my opinion, just a lack of attention to detail.
Sure.
Dotting I's and crossing T's. And when all of these, again, this is exposing yourself to risk too, because all these players suffered huge, like, career worst levels of injuries, all in the same season under the same training staff, and you're unlicensed. Like, that's exposing yourself to NBA PA grievances and, like,
there it is.
Really bad stuff, and players not wanting to come here. And, that's really, really bad, man.
Yeah.
And like the risk with shooting a fireworks show, if you're unlicensed, is you could blow things up and really hurt people. Players on this team really got hurt, and this thing feels like it's going to blow up. Like, morale in that organization is at an all-time low, not just on the basketball side, on the business side too. Morale among the fan base, all-time low. Morale among the players, seemingly all-time low. Like, it's really, really bad. And, you just have to be on top of all this stuff if you're making really, really big decisions. You have to be on top of all of it because there are ramifications to every single decision that you make. Yeah,
and it's a great point about the NBA PA, because that's one of the things I thought about as the news of the firings that had come out, that these players, if they decide to, could get the NBA PA involved in terms of some of the investigations on how these individuals came to not only be working there, but also in terms of some of the injuries that they suffered and how they were dealt with in the wake of trying to come back. We talked about the Lively situation at length yesterday.
He's going to play a game on a broken bone.
Yeah, literally on a stress fracture, and was preparing to come back until they stepped in and were able to see it. So one of the things I want to make sure that we also mention too is that a lot of folks jump on my mentions, where are the positive things around this team? Where are you guys going to talk about some of these other things? I know, Kavanaugh. I know. Trust me. At the same time, we try to give you a real picture of where this team is and what they are going to be looking at in terms of their immediate future and long-term future. And all of these things have kind of snowballed, to Bobby's point, in quite a hurry. So in trying to dissect all of these things from a roster standpoint, an injury standpoint, what the future and short-term future looks like for this team, it's a lot, and unfortunately, it isn't necessarily great. But at the same time, what can this team do moving forward if they're going to continue under the direction of Harrison to make it better? We're trying to figure out those answers just as much as you are, and the frustration that is we have when it comes to where this team is. I can only imagine that's probably tenfold for the individuals who are dealing with this on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, what's happening right now in that building is kind of the stuff we're talking about, evaluating what went wrong.
Yeah,
and like, couple weeks ago we were mauling online about the training staff stuff, and now those guys don't work here anymore. So like clearly that similar level of discontent, dissatisfaction, and recognition and acknowledgement of failure internally have led to these decisions. These are things that we're talking about. These are things that they're talking about. You know, and ultimately, if your team fails, given the level of expectation that the Mavs had, there are probably going to be more changes. Now, whether those are good or bad, we'll see. Whether we agree or disagree with them, we'll see. But you know, before you can kind of turn the page and move forward, you do have to look back and reflect on the things that went wrong and ultimately the things that led to that low finish in the standings. And, you know, the turning of the page, kind of step one is Monday night with the lottery. And then you're looking at, you know, the draft and then evaluating your own incoming free or, you know, upcoming free agents, contract decisions you have to make, which we'll talk about here in a minute, and then looking ahead to free agency in next season.
All in the process of trying to get this team back where they feel like they should be.
And where we want them to be.
And where we want them to be in terms of competing for championships, especially for Tanner's sake, because my guy's been going through it.
He's so sad every day.
I know, man. Like, I want the Mavericks to be good for Tanner. Okay?
The glimmer in his eyes has just faded.
Slowly dying as the season went on.
That's right. Well, we're going to try to provide Tanner some help coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. We're going to grade PJ Washington's season. I look forward to what his contract situation could be and what it means for this team going forward. All that and more coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. But first, I want to help put some money in your pocket, and I want to do it by taking you to Ownwell. It's property tax time of the year. Ownwell wants to make it easier for you to save money on your property taxes by taking the hardship out of it. When it comes to owning your property, it can be challenging, but Ownwell handles everything from start to finish. They deliver top results with no upfront cost, and you only pay if you save. They put property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes. In fact, 86% of Ownwell's customers receive a reduction with an average customer savings of over $1,100. That's some serious scratch around this time of year to be able to spend it on something else other than paying your property tax, of course. The deadline to protest is May 15th for most counties, so save money on your property taxes with Ownwell. Sign up in less than 3 minutes and start your protest today at ownwell.com/DLLS. That's OWNWELL.com/DLLS today.
Well, it's springtime. Summer is right around the corner, and that means it's party season. That means it's pool season. That means you're going to be tracking water into your house. You're going to be having people over, and you need that home looking good, and you need your flooring staying protected, staying safe, staying looking fresh and clean and neat for all your guests. I'm looking at the forecast right now, KG, and you know next week it's going to get up to 96
Let's go.
in Dallas. That is,
Let's go.
First off, perfect pool weather. Second, way too dang hot to go out to a store. You want to stay home. Empire Today will bring the showroom to your house, though, show you what your new flooring could look like in your home, in your lighting, with your colors, with your decor, everything. They bring it right to you. It could not get any more convenient. You can schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DLLS listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DLLS, a $350 discount when code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/DLLS for full details and get your house looking great this summer.
Looking forward to that summer weather, man. I'm a summer weather guy. I used to play baseball when I was a kid growing up, so I used to look forward to the summertime. So this is about to be my time of the year.
You'll see me in the fall. It's too hot.
Or just hanging out at the pool all the time.
It's too hot.
Really. Tanner, you ready for summer? You a summer person?
Yeah, sure. Pool season, everything.
Pool
else.
seasons, everything.
I mean, it's going to be a little too hot. But
that's a little too hot for you?
It's always too hot.
I mean, it's Texas.
But,
I mean, it's kind
that's
of.
why we need pools and everything else.
I burn very easily.
So dude. Oh, so that's
worried.
okay.
Yeah, me too. Sunscreen is a must. Hey, Bobby, you got to update us on your standings in the sleeper.
Oh, I thought I was going to do that in the fourth segment, but that's fine. We'll do that right now.
Coming out the first.
It's fine.
I messed it up.
Yeah, we just throw it up there. Throw it up there. It's too late now. Canonically,
I swear you said first segment.
I did say that, and then I said I would do it later, but that's fine. That's fine. We don't need to hash out our in-house drama on mic.
Inside baseball.
Right, exactly. You two need to fight right now. What's going on here?
A rare down week for Jeff Wilson.
Oh.
Actually coming closer to the pack. Sam Nestler's nipping at my heels. I've had a rough go in hockey, all right? I keep following what Sam and the Stars crew think is going to happen, and it's just not serving me well, so I think I'm going to forge my own path, but Jeff Wilson is coming back down close to the pack, so there is at least a chance that one of us can catch him soon.
He's got 21 wins, though.
He does.
And you got the second most at 10.
I know.
And you're still in third place.
I know, but it's not about wins. It's about percentage. We sort by percentage here.
Okay.
Even though on Sleeper you win even less than half of your plays, you're still making money. So it's great.
There you go.
It's great.
Well, y'all got some work to do to catch Jeff because he is beating y'all.
Don't
right
rub
now.
it in. I am well aware.
Okay. All right. Well, let's grade the season of PJ Washington. As you saw on Saturday, no Tim Cato today, no Mark Stein. They'll be back with us on Monday as we'll have our watch along right here on the DLLS Mavs podcast for the NBA draft lottery, where we will find out where the Mavericks will be drafting in the 2025 NBA draft. The draft lottery taking place in Chicago. Rolando Blackman going to be representing the Dallas Mavericks this year, hopefully bringing some good luck for the Mavericks and the draft lottery. Hopefully for them, they will get a new teammate for PJ Washington, as Washington had a career year in a number of different areas, including averaging nearly 8 rebounds per game, where this past season, I should say, had 17 games of at least 10 rebounds in a game. So PJ Washington doing a lot when it came to cleaning up on the glass. In fact, let's take a look at Tim Cato's exit survey where we grade the season of PJ Washington. And based on the 404 responses that we have, great PJ Washington season based on your expectations for him.
Holy moly.
44.8% gave PJ Washington a C on his season. 35.6% gave him a B. 9.2% gave him a D. And only 7.9% gave him an A. The rest giving him a failing grade. That's kind of surprising. That's nearly 45% of respondents gave him a C for this season. That's
pretty low. I don't like that. I think if I had to give PJ a grade, it would be a B. So it's not like, B is only one step up from C, but I feel like that's probably a lot of recency bias speaking, because he did go out kind of sad the last few games of the season. He dealt with injuries a lot in the back half, from the ankle sprain against the Rockets. Every time he came back, he'd play like one game, go out again. He had that absolute dud against the Lakers in late February, 0 for 10, I think. But he was banged up. Like it's one of those things. I saw this conversation happening actually recently because Michael Porter Jr. is playing hurt right now, and he's just going through it on the court. And Nuggets fans are really mad about it, but then everyone else is like, well, he's playing hurt. Like the alternative is he doesn't play and you call him soft.
Right.
But then he does play and you're like, why aren't you playing better? So it's like almost a lose-lose, and PJ was so banged up for a couple months. And I mean, his numbers absolutely dropped off a cliff. But I feel like C is kind of harsh.
Looking at some of his numbers from the year, PJ Washington averaging nearly 15 points per game, nearly 8 rebounds per contest, 2.3 assists per game, shot over 45%. From the field. Obviously, the way that the season ended for him as far as the playing game was concerned, didn't score necessarily a single point. Wound up playing 57 games this year, started 56 of them, played a nearly over 32 minutes this year, shot 38% from the three-point line, not on a lot of volume, though, on just 4 attempts per game on average. Shot 72% from the free throw line. As we mentioned, the career high 7.8 rebounds per contest and 2.3 assists as well, as far as the season is concerned. And a lot of folks I already see in the comments discussing the fit for PJ Washington next to Anthony Davis, which we'll get to here in just a second. But interestingly enough for him, going into next year, PJ is going to be making $14 million. He's in the final year of his contract that he had signed when he was previously with the Charlotte Hornets. So he will be, if he does not sign an extension this summer, eligible for unrestricted free agency at the end of this upcoming season. And for him, he's eligible for a $89.2 million extension this summer, which he could sign a little bit later on, and once we get obviously into the offseason. But there are a lot of questions, Bobby, about the fit for PJ next to Anthony Davis, especially if Davis insists on playing at the 4 and not at the 5. What does that do for the spacing of Washington? We saw at times this year not being able, in terms of being a great ball handler. What does that mean for his scoring? What does that mean for him in a lot of different areas, given the spacing that is a lot different given Anthony Davis playing at the 4 there?
Yeah, it's just tough, man, because if he's out there with 2 bigs, first off, I think his position is power forward. Like I think he's a 4.
Yes.
I think that's because of his skill set, his desire to finish around the rim, his desire to operate out of the mid-range, his desire to post up smaller guys. and his general reluctance to shoot above the break threes and his relative ineffectiveness at it. He's decent from the corners at times when he can get on a heater, as we saw obviously during the playoff run. But
and obviously on the defensive side too, I feel like he guards down better than he does guard
like guards bigger guys better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that's like the main thing.
Yeah.
But offensively, if it's going to be two bigs, AD, obviously the Mavs don't want him chucking up threes, and the Gafford and Lively aren't going to. If there's no other personnel changes around him, then PJ does kind of get relegated to this three-point shooting dude, and that's not really his game. That's not his forte. Teams aren't necessarily going to respect that. I feel like his best advantage that he can present offensively is potentially drawing the center matchup, because teams are going to want to put their wing on the Mavs big to switch these pick and rolls, or just a slower guy that can't stay in front of him, or put on a smaller guy that can't bang with him in the post. And you're just not going to draw those kind of mismatches if he's playing the three. He's going to have to shoot more. He's going to have to handle the ball more, and those aren't his strengths. And then defensively, like you mentioned, KG, like he just, he did a great job guarding Wemby.
Yes.
And he did a really good job for the most part on like Cat in the playoffs. He's much less of a guy that can switch and guard ones and twos. And, Luka obviously has a really good time against most players, but he can't stay in front of Luka, and Luka's a guy that's pretty slow. And granted, PJ was really banged up for both of those games against the Lakers, but if he can't stay in front of slower wings, then how can the Mavs expect him to stay in front of quicker guards? This is not going to happen. So I think his best position is 4. If they are hell-bent on playing two bigs, and I'm PJ, then I'm entering the last year of my deal. It's like I am either going to want it to get a trade out of here to go play 4 somewhere else and have a chance to make a lot of money, or sign my name on the dotted line right now and I'm not going anywhere, and just probably underperform based on the maximum value I can get. So it's a really tough position that he's in. I think the Mavs have it pretty easy. They can just say, all right, well, he's a 4, let's play him at 4. For PJ, it's like, you better play me at 4 or else I am losing money.
Yeah, because he's going to be in the starting lineup, but with Anthony Davis insisting on playing at the 4, you're either going to have Lively or Gafford there as your 5, assuming, let's say, Lively's in the starting lineup. I mean, your front court is going to be pretty big with Washington, Davis, and Lively as your starting front court there, which gives you a lot of defensive versatility for those guys, but at the same time, offensively, it makes it a little bit more difficult, because if Washington, who did shoot 38% from the three-point line, but again, it wasn't on a lot of volume, if those areas of the offensive side are going to be clogged up, how much better of a shooter does he need to be to at least be a little bit more of a credible threat from the three-point line to provide some type of spacing, given what you're going to be dealing with in terms of whoever the starting guard is going to be, with Kyrie Irving going to be out? Where does the scoring start to come from? Washington then becomes that much more vital from a scoring standpoint, given the lack of scoring that you're going to get in terms of guys being able to create their own shots for themselves in that offense.
It's not even just putting the ball in the basket, though. It's about what kind of impact you can have on the defense. And if Gafford's the 5 or Lively's the 5 and then PJ's the 3, that's 2 guys that don't really, without a great playmaker, that don't really force the defense to do anything. Because like these lob threats, if they're going to be rolling into AD, or if AD is going to be rolling into a big, then you're just already, that's just a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a great guard to make these decisions, then you're not punishing teams for cheating off these guys or whatever. I mean, the team so effectively took the lob away from the Mavs this year. It's a big bummer to watch, because I like lobs. I like dunks.
Agreed.
So, if PJ at the 3 is not going to create mismatches, and you have 2 other bigs on the floor that aren't going to shoot, then all you're doing is making it tougher for these ostensibly less skilled guards to make plays. Without Kyrie, it's going to be Brandon Williams trying to crack the code, or if Dinwiddie comes back, or Exum comes back, or Jaden Hardy is back, or whatever rookie they get in the draft. Like, these guys are going to have to solve really hard problems every time down the floor, because nothing is coming easy. And so I think just from a geometry standpoint, like floor spacing and X's and O's, like it's tough to play him at the 3. It's just tough.
Yeah, and he's not going to necessarily be your point of attack defender on the defensive end as well. So now you're trying to compensate. Well, who in that 1-2 spot is going to be able to guard in terms of at the point of attack? Because that's not necessarily PJ's forte there. So I mean, he's got a very, very interesting decision to make, because if he decides to sign the extension, I mean, he's going to be getting $89 million over the next 4 years. If he decides to gamble, play out the final year of his deal, making $14 million, and take the risk of trying to have trying to have a good year in the offense and the structure that the Mavericks have, and then going into free agency next year. Very interesting for PJ. He's got
it's a big risk, man.
It is. It's a big risk for him that he's going to have to play out this summer. But again, one of the major storylines, given that PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford are both contract extension eligible this summer as well. Whether or not the Mavericks keep Gafford going into this season is another big question. But PJ Washington is going to have a real interesting decision to make in front of him going into next season. We'll check out more of Tim Cato's exit survey next week as we continue the grades of the players from this past season, as we took a look at PJ Washington there here in this segment. Coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs podcast, we welcome in friend of the show and the co-host of the Locked On Mavs podcast, Nick Angstadt, to talk about the draft ladder coming up on Monday and more coming up next on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
Pits, balls, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, and feet. What do those things have in common, KG?
They stink.
They can all stink.
That's right.
And it's going to be in the 80s and 90s next week, folks. It's humid as hell outside. It is so hot. You're going to be sweating, and fellas especially, y'all are going to be stinky. You can't just put deodorant under your armpits. That is not enough to get the job done. So try out our friends at Mando. They can get you set up with whether it's deodorant or spray or any sort of other fresh scents applications to make you smell good. And not only is that going to block odor, but it's going to make you smell great for up to 72 hours after the application. This stuff rules. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. Use code DLLS at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Promo code DLLS. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
And we want you to smell good because when you do, you can go out. And when you do go out, you can spend your money over at Happiest Hour, getting something to eat and some great drinks, especially during this time of the year where your Dallas Stars are looking to win that Stanley Cup. If you're headed to the Stars game, once they come back for Winnipeg, there's no better pregame and postgame spot than Happiest Hour. It's literally steps away from the arena. You can grab a beer, devour some apps, and then walk across the street and check out that puck drop. The ultimate game day destination, whether you're pregame, postgame, or post-up for the whole thing, Happiest Hour brings you the playoff energy with 40 TVs and a jumbo LED screen that turns game nights into events, packed patios, skyline views, and a whole crowd of Stars fans to ride the highs and lows with. They've got tremendous happy hour specials as well. Join them from 4 to 6 p.m. on weekdays and score half off appetizers and signature cocktails. It's the perfect warm-up before puck drop. Whether it's a weekday or a weekend, Game 7 or the offseason, Happiest Hour is our favorite spot. Check them out right down the road from the AAC. Shout out to Happiest Hour.
Shout out Happiest Hour.
I gotta give me a Gatorade because, my gosh, the Gatorade was fantastic.
It was
so
delightful.
Good. Let's welcome in our buddy from the Locked On Mavs podcast.
Oh, my God.
You can find him on X at Nick Van Exit. He, of course, is the homie, Nick Angstadt. Nick, what's going on?
Gentlemen.
See you guys at the lottery.
Oh.
He gave us a double dose. He gave us the drop and the Stein intro. Gentlemen, shout out to you.
Are you going to be there?
No.
Oh, okay.
Why would I go to see the Mavs not move up for, they never move up. So what's the point?
You're coming at it from a negative standpoint,
right?
All right. We're approaching it from a positive.
True. I should come at it from a positive. That's true.
right.
If I come at it from a positive, the Mavs will get a top 12 pick no matter what. So
they will
be happy about
That's right.
They will. It's guaranteed.
Shout out to our guy Ben in the chat that reminds us, Nick, that Paige Beckers plays basketball tomorrow. So that's exciting.
Correct.
That's
I'll
right.
be there. I'll definitely be there. I'll be at all the Wings games.
Nick is just now finding this out because I'm just now telling you. I'm going to see you at the opening night next Friday when the Wings host the Minnesota Lynx. Dynamite basketball.
Can we just talk about Paige Beckers for the next however long I'm on the show instead?
Honestly, if you want to.
I mean, Loki, it's gonna be exciting.
With her and Arike is gonna be interesting because you've just got Arike is like James Harden that doesn't pass as well, and then you have Paige who's just like this incredible connector guard, and I'm really fascinated to see how they play off of each other.
I'm scared, Nick, because the Wings are small. They're really small.
It's Tierra McCowan and a bunch of wings.
That's right. That's right.
Pun intended.
That's our Wings report here on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
I was not done.
Oh no, we might finish up at the end of the segment talking Little Wings, but because Nafisa Collier, MVP, putting it out there, she's gonna be the MVP of the season. Just putting it out there. Monday, NBA draft lottery. On a scale of 1 to 10, if Cooper Flag or that the Mavericks wind up getting the number 1 pick, how excited would you be about them taking Cooper Flag?
I was gonna say on a scale of 1 to 10, will the Mavs get the number 1 pick?
That's right. Maybe that's a better question. 11. Right.
My thing on Cooper Flag has been it would change everything. Literally, it would literally change everything for this franchise, and maybe be the only way out they have for. I've heard the doom and gloom that Bobby's been preaching on this show lately, that the Mavs are just screwed in so many different senses. It's if you believe that, it's the only way out of that. But if you think that they're that screwed in this sense, and so because it immediately raises your current path where you are right now, because it makes you better, and it also puts you on a path in the future where you can actually build around something going forward. He is that guy. Now the Mavs would have to make a lot of they'd have to make a lot of different moves this summer because the team just wouldn't make any sense. It'd be the opposite of the Wings. There'd be one guard and a bunch of big dudes, but they would have to make some changes. But man, it would change everything, and it would set them in a path that I think Mavs fans may start to come back.
Maybe
they start to come.
If let's say they move up. All right, so we're starting at the very best case scenario.
That's right.
Let's say they move up to 2 through 4. Do they? I guess I'm trying to think of a way to grade this on a scale of 1 to 10. How confident are you 1 to 10 that they actually use the pick if they move up to 2 through 4 versus explore trade opportunities for vets?
I'm not confident in literally any predictions I'm going to make about what the Mavs will do in any way. So I'm going to say zero confidence in anything because I don't know what Nico will do next. Really, he just said 23 days ago that he was very confident the Mavs are the best people in the front office and in the training staff, and then he fired a couple of those people in the training staff. So
what would you do? Would you use the pick? Let's say they move up to 3, because I feel like 2, Dylan Harper, that's easy. But what about 3 or 4?
3 and 4 is interesting. Isaac did 2 shows this week on specifically 3 and 4 about what they would do. And once you get down to there, Ace Bailey is just he's such a wild card where he's like a 6'10", could be bigger than that guy that can get a bucket, but he may take some development. It would be such a swing for the future, and the Mavs are such win now that I feel like the Mavs would trade 3 or 4. Whereas Dylan Harper would fill a position of need. Even he would help you in the future, and he would help you right now because you need that so badly right now. And so I think if I'm 3 or 4, I shop that pick and see what I can do. Isaac mentioned a trade down to 12 and get Kobe White from the Bulls, and I'm like, okay, I'm into that one if you get 3 or 4.
Okay. Yeah, you have my attention.
Okay, and that would be very intriguing. Kobe White is a hot name for Mavericks fans. That they would love to see him on a Mavericks uniform, getting out of the purgatory that is the Chicago Bulls. Because my gosh, they're just proverbially stuck at 9. I feel like they're going to just be there forever at this particular point. What else is piquing your interest? Obviously, in this offseason, given not just the draft lottery. Once we know where they're going to be picking, what do they do with the pick? Do they trade it? Do they draft someone with it? But also, they got some interesting contract situations that they got to deal with. We mentioned with P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford, each in the final year of their contracts. What are you doing with P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford, given where this team is?
Man, it's such an interesting one because you're such a win now team. You need P.J., but with Gafford, it's become kind of a redundancy. It's such a position of strength for this team now, but you're not so desperate for a center now for the first time in maybe the Mavs history. You're not so desperate for a center that you couldn't imagine or think about letting somebody walk. I think I'd probably look to trade Gafford this year for something. You've got to take at least one of these contracts and turn it into a guard in some way. And I think he's the one that's the most expendable in certain ways for the Mavs. And then I'd probably look to extend PJ. He's just been such a culture setter player that you can't really replace. Every single team in the playoffs needs one of those. One of the things we talked about on the show yesterday was in the playoffs, you need these players that can answer these 2 questions. Will you be hunted in the playoffs? And can you do multiple things on offense? And I think PJ answered those 2 questions as a wing. Like everybody needs a player like that in some way. And so I think I extend PJ and maybe look to trade Gafford or just keep him and then see what happens in the offseason.
Would you look to move Gafford during the offseason, or would you wait until the trade deadline to move him potentially?
I don't know. Like, how much time do they really have? by the trade deadline, this team could look completely different. I don't know. Like, will Kyrie be back by then? I'd probably do it in the offseason because they just need somebody. I don't know where they're gonna be. I mean, Bobby doesn't think they're gonna be a play-in team right now as a
I stand by that take. I don't think that's that wild of a take.
I mean, it obviously depends on injuries. I thought they would be better than the Lakers after the trade happened, and then obviously the injuries happened. You're like, well, obviously they're not better than them now, and the Lakers were much better than even I anticipated. But yeah, I think you probably do it this offseason because you need a guard so bad. I mean, are we gonna roll into next season with Brandon Williams and Jaden Hardy, and that's it,
dude?
We're gonna at guard. Like Brandon Williams,
what's
great
something
story
happy
last
we
year.
could talk about? I'm starting to get stressed out. It's the weekend. It's the weekend. Come on.
Oh, there's something happening right now in Israel, Bobby, that I really want to.
Okay. All
All
right.
right.
Jesus, dude.
Oh, jeez, man.
Literally, like they got an American Pope. Like that's something funny. From
That's
Chicago.
right.
He's a
Chicago.
big Sox fan. Like you can talk about anything. Okay, so what if the Mavs stay at 11 or they move down to 12? That's like, unfortunately, the most likely option is that they stay at 11. You just said that if they move up to 3 or 4, you'd explore trading it. Now, granted, those picks are going to have way more value than 11. If they stay at 11, is there a market out there for them to try and shop that around with something for a player? Or at that point, are you just like, you know what? It never hurts to get another 19, 20-year-old guy in here to develop, maybe be the next Omax or Hardy, just come along and give spot minutes if needed this season? Or like what level of urgency do you have with that kind of pick?
Yeah, with that pick, it's almost like you're doing the Lively thing again. And you go, okay, well, when we had the Lively pick, the position of need was center. Now the position of need is guard. Can you find a guard in that range? And there is some good lead guards in that range. Like, you know, some people like Jeremiah Fear, some people don't. Some people like the Igor Demin guy. Some people don't. There's all kinds of different players. The Triori guy.
Richardson's the name is people like.
Yeah,
there's
a bunch of there is a bunch of different guards in that range that you could look at, and I think at that point, I think you take a guard. Although Nico thinks that long term for this team is 4 years, so I don't know. Will this guard even be in their prime in 4 years?
Who's the oldest player in the draft? Is there like a 27-year-old that had like just a bunch of extra COVID seasons?
Right. Is there a Brandon Whedon available?
There's this guy Cam Jones from Marquette. He's gonna be 23 at the time of the draft.
That's too young, man.
I'm about to say
it's just too young.
It's too young at the
Can't get any minutes on this team.
I mean, that's the tough part though. If you do take a guard there at 11 or 12, if they move down, you're putting a lot of pressure on that player as a rookie to come in a win now situation and like, hey, buddy, while you're here, stem the tide until that Kyrie guy comes back, and do so while learning how to play with Anthony Davis and PJ Washington, and do all that on the fly while we're in a win now situation. Like that's a hell of a thing to ask a rookie guard to do in his first situation with an NBA team, to step into that pressure cooker to deal with it.
They just did it to Lively, and it worked. The pressure cooker worked in a way. Like it polished a diamond, didn't it? Like it pushed him into a player that we learned could be a 16-game player and play in a finals, which is really hard for a rookie center. And so I don't know. I mean, you got to. That's the position that you've put yourself in. It's nice that you have this top 12 pick. And to answer your question from earlier, I don't think there's a big difference between 11 and 12. Like if they dropped to 12, I'm not even really that sad because there's just not that big of a difference to me in that.
Dang.
But
watch it. There's going to be, if they drop to 12, whoever's pick 11th is going to be a Hall of Famer. It's just guaranteed now. This is guaranteed now.
We can talk about one thing fun we can talk about is the Stars tonight. I'm excited. I'm going to go out and watch that game. I'm super excited about the Stars.
Are you a big hockey guy, or are you just kind of like hopping on the bandwagon?
Currently a big hockey guy as of right now, this very moment in my life.
No, perfect.
That's right, exactly. That's awesome.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's great. It's something to root for. And with the Wings starting, I feel like now's the time where we circle back, because we'll have some Wings coverage this season for DLLS Sports. For people in the chat, for people that are going to watch this in the future, Nick, why is now the time to root for the Wings? And then also, is there any sort of relatable, like, here's what stage they're at, here's what to expect from them? Speak NBA basketball to me in NBA terms about the WNBA.
The Wings are like when the Pistons drafted Cade Cunningham, basically. That's where they are right now, where I think Paige is kind of like Cade, where she's a bigger guard. She's a big connector. She can pass all over the place. She's a really good shooter, but she's kind of not passive, but she's more of a team player than she is a go get my own bucket type player. And she's like beyond all costs. And so to have somebody like that just raises the level of everybody else on the team, I'm super excited about. Dejanay Carrington is a new player on the wings that is going to be she's going to be controversial in a way. I remember hating her when she played for the Sun. Just watching her play against the wings in person, you just hate all the little antics and things that she does. She tries to get in players' heads, but she's a really good defender, and her and Paige already have this kind of chemistry already, which is nice. I mentioned Arike already. She led the WMA in scoring a couple years, was second last year, and so she can go get a bucket. She's one of those players that is just the ultimate Tim Hardaway Jr. No, yes player. Well,
okay,
yes.
All right.
She'll just drop these insane shots and you go, oh my God, why did I doubt this player ever? And then she'll miss a layup like on the other end at times. But yeah, this Wings team, and they've got a young like rookie coach in Chris Koklanis, who is going to come in, and it seems like he's already connecting with players. And then for the longest time, Bobbert, they were Jerry Jonesing it with Greg Bibb.
Me. What the hell?
Yes.
With Greg Bibb as the like owner and also the GM in some kind of way. They were doing that for a long time. And they just hired Kurt Miller as the GM this past offseason. So I finally have some kind of hope in this Wings team because they have a real GM now. They have a coach. They have a star to build around. And so they're going somewhere. So I'm excited. Get in on the ground floor.
The Stars and the Wings are saving Mavs fans everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
That we can agree on that. That's like manna from heaven.
For sure. For Mavericks fans, it's like fire Nico, love Miko. Like it's that kind of thing right now going on for them. But no, Nick's right. The Wings are it's gonna be very interesting though. Like I said earlier, got a size problem. They got a real size problem. They're gonna score a ton of points, potentially with Arike and Paige leading the way. But my gosh, the scoring from everywhere else. Yikes. I don't know where it's coming from, but we're going to find out.
Oh, we got to get the super chat before we get Nick out of here because Nick, this is about the Raccoon Squad as well. So go. Kelly Chinloy, thank you for the $9.99 super chat. Really appreciate that. Rarely get to listen live. DLLS diehard, shout out, and longtime Raccoon Squad member. So love the crossover. Got married last weekend and shouted "Fire Nico" in the middle of my dad's speech. Hell yeah.
Shout out Kelly. Love that.
Congrats on the wedding.
Congrats. Yeah, Mazel Tov.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Kelly, that comment is...
It's great. It's great, dude. Dude, it's great. It's great. It's great, broski. Bro, name it. It's great.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Bro, Kyrie.
Bro, name it.
Oh, Kyrie. Nick, tell the folks they can find you at, man.
Locked On Mavs everywhere, daily, all throughout the summer. We will be competing with this show on who can come up with the most random content about the Mavericks the most and not want to like punch ourselves in the face by September.
I look forward to the contest.
Duel accepted. Nick, love you, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
See you, boys.
See you, dude.
That is Nick Angstadt. You can find him on Twitter at Nick Van Exit, host of the co-host of the Locked On Mavs podcast with this guy, Isaac Harris. Let's finish up here on the DLLS Mavs podcast on the other side of the break. We'll take our spin around Tankathon and look forward to the NBA playoff action this weekend across the association. And we'll get to your super chats as well. All that more coming next year on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
But first, Kelly's a diehard.
That's
I
right.
see Ardell. I see Ben in the chat. They're diehards. Why aren't you a diehard? Hey, why aren't you a diehard? They are. They're awesome. It's awesome to be a diehard. It's an awesome time to be a diehard because when you sign up by scanning the QR code beneath me or clicking the link in the description below or going to alldls.com/diehard, you get a free shirt of your choosing. We got more than 40 to choose from, including Tanner. Woo! Some sexy new Stars merch. How about a 8-bit, or is that even fewer than 8s?
Is that fewer than 8?
How many bits is that Wyatt Johnson character from NHL 96 inspired? Wyatt Johnson, it's beautiful. And then the finisher, oh my God.
Miko!
So that shirt actually began as a Miko and Avalanche gear shirt. They never got to release it in Denver because, of course, he got traded midseason to Carolina.
Wow.
And so D-Line, he got on the design train, man. He hopped in the lab.
Love that.
And he Starsified it for us. You get one of those shirts for free whenever you sign up, or any of the other more than 40 we got to choose from. You get a discount on any other gear you want. You get a discount on any events we have. You get to join the DLS Diehard Discord server. It is a great place to hang out with fellow diehards, especially during games. You get to read the entire website, all that premium paywalled written good from Tim Cato on our beat. Clarence and Joe on Cowboys, Sam and Sean on hockey, and Jeff Wilson on those Texas Rangers. Rangers just signed the next Ohtani. You see those headlines?
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm sure Jeff is going to be all over that.
All over that,
Great
yeah.
way to follow all that stuff. And more. Folks, the Bennies are endless. There's no endy to the Benny. So go ahead and, one
Get
more.
this, Tanner.
One more.
Boom.
Oh, my God.
Your physical diehard card.
It actually adds 7.2 years to your life whenever you get one of those.
Oh, wow.
It's scientifically proven.
Can I get another one? No, I'm just joking.
Nope. You don't want many more than
I don't want
yeah. Too far ahead is just tough.
Make sure you become part of our DLLS Sports family and join the over 23,400 subscribers here on DLLS Sports. The quickest way you can support us is to like, comment, and subscribe here on our YouTube channel. Become a diehard member today. Join our DLLS Sports family. Let's finish up here on the DLLS Mavs podcast as we need to take our spin around Tankathon.
Oh, yeah.
The NBA draft lottery is on Monday. We will have our watch along at 6 p.m. right here on DLLS Sports. Full hour on our podcast. We'll have our guy Tim Cato and Mark Stein back here in studio as well as we react to where the Mavericks will be drafting in the 2025 NBA draft.
So, a little backstory here. We have done 14 lotto spins. Okay. The Mavs have an 8.5% chance to move up. So on average, if you do it 14 times, you should move up one of those times. Okay.
Okay.
And on yesterday's final spin of the day,
That's
the Mavs
right.
did move up all the way to number one.
All the way to number one.
All the way to
Let's
number
go.
one.
That's right. All the way to number one. We did. Yes.
Now,
you did.
Franchise saved.
there's one
That's
more.
right.
We got
That's right,
one
Tanner.
more spin to do today, and I'm afraid that if the Mavs move up, we might have like exhausted all of the good juice.
So should we
I'm
not
like,
do it since we
I'm
got
a
to number
little
one?
afraid, but I'm gonna do it because
Okay.
I'm fearless,
No,
even
okay.
though I'm very fearful.
Oh,
Tim
Cat's
is-
got our Mavericks shirt on too, so we
Whoa.
gotta have some kind of luck today. We gotta have some.
Tim
We're
is the only
simming,
one who
folks.
moved up, so.
That's right. That's right. Number one.
Tim
Wait a
got
minute.
it for us.
Tim got it for us yesterday.
The site is bugging. I think
Two straight spins.
Did you
Tim
break
moved
it?
up.
No, I didn't. All right. Here we
Okay.
go.
All right.
It's time to sim the lottery.
Let's go.
No aim is.
No way. No way. Let me see. Let me see for you. Oh! We did it again.
They just did it again.
Are we
dude.
number one again?
Number one.
We're number
Number one. We're number one.
This is actually really bad. I'm afraid it's never gonna happen.
That means I know it wasn't official, but Tim got us up to number 3, and then
No, Tim
No,
got the
he goes
Mavs up to
number
number
one.
one.
no, the unofficial spin.
Oh, an
Oh, yeah,
unofficial
that's
one.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
The one
yeah.
that
Got
didn't
us to
count.
number 3. So like 3 of the last 5 spins, if you count that one.
That's
we
right.
got number 3, number 1, and number 1 in 3 of the last 5. So just saying,
Is
So-
it finally
there's
the,
hope.
Is it finally the Mavericks time?
The number 4 pick goes to Washington. The number 3 pick to Charlotte. The number 2 pick to Portland, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
But the number 1 pick in our final official Tankathon spin goes to your Dallas Mavericks.
Wow.
2 spins in a row on the DLLS Mavs podcast.
I'm
Is it-
texting Tim and Mark right now.
The
We have to
Mavs
spread the
jump
news.
up to number 1.
Is it finally their time? Is it finally their time?
I don't know. It's either their time or Tim and I need to fear for our lives. Wow.
Yeah, man. If the Mavericks moved up all the way from 11 to 1, I'm trying to think. What is the biggest jump in NBA history?
It would have to. I think the Magic when they got Shaq were like maybe even 14 to 1. I need to look.
Oh yeah, wow, 14 would that be pretty insane. But yeah,
They want. I want to say they finished 41 and 41. If not that year, then the year after when they got Penny.
okay, they moved all the way up from 13 or 14 to number 1.
Yeah. So in 1993, the Chris Webber draft,
Mm-hmm.
they had a 41 and 41 record. They were 11th in the pre-lottery position, and they
So
jumped
what
all the
has
way up.
happened before,
It
going
has
all the way up
happened
from
before.
number 11 to number 1.
Yeah, and it happened that year. Actually, the Mavs won 11 games, and they moved down from 1st to 4th. The previous season, the Mavs won 22 games, and they moved down from 3rd to 4th. That was the Shaq draft.
Wow.
How about in 1994, the Mavs won 13 games. They moved down from 1st to 2nd. So the Mavs have a long and extensive history of moving down. They have never, ever, ever moved up until the last 2 episodes of the DLS Mavs podcast.
That's right.
So the tides might be shifting.
How crazy
Maybe.
would this trajectory of the franchise have been if they had stayed number 1 in the Shaq draft and drafted Shaquille O'Neal?
Well, you know the deal about Michael Jordan, right? Have you? Do you know that story?
I do not.
Okay, so in 1984, one of the trades the Mavs made with the Cavs in 1980 that led to the creation of the Stepien rule, preventing teams from trading multiple future first-round picks. The Mavs had the Cavs' 1984 pick. The very last night of the year, the Bulls and the Cavs had the same exact record. The Bulls lost, but the Cavs won. Had the Cavs lost that game, it would have been a coin flip between 3 and 4 between the Mavs and the Bulls for the rights to eventually draft Michael Jordan.
Oh my gosh! So the Mavericks could have, in an alternate universe, had Michael Jordan.
Yep. Now the pick after for the Mavs used that pick on Sam Perkins. The pick after that became Charles Barkley. So the Mavs still, even at 4, could have got a Hall of Famer. Sam Perkins had a great career. Was a very, very good player. Starter on conference finals and finals teams. Like I believe won a championship.
Was Jordan's teammate at Carolina at one point.
Yeah, I mean Sam Perkins is a great player.
Yeah.
But you know, whenever
pass
Michael Jordan is taken before and Barkley after you, obviously it's tough. But yeah, the Mavs were a game 82 loss away from having a 50% chance at MJ. And I believe they even tried to trade up for him in the draft anyway, and the Bulls rejected their overtures. But still, they came very close.
Imagine the round mound of rebound in Dallas as a Maverick, Charles Barkley.
Imagine Michael freaking Jordan.
And more Michael
and
Jordan.
he would have joined a team that already at the time would have had Mark Aguirre, Roe Blackman.
That's pretty stoked. That's pretty dope.
And they still would have got Derek Harper and Detlef Schrempf and Roy Tarpley because all of those picks came from the Cavs. So, like, they still would have gotten even better over the next few years.
So I told you, I guess, recently what I feel like my working conspiracy theory is on why the Mavericks have never moved up then in the draft. It's because of all the first-round picks they kept trading,
Could be.
year after year in the NBA, and the basketball guys have punished the Mavericks for doing that over and over again.
It could be. I mean, I believe they've moved down before more times than they've even like stayed the same. Like they've never even stayed the same. And in the lottery era, they had the worst record in the NBA, I believe, only twice, maybe 3 times. But they have had a bottom 5 record in the NBA a lot. And they have never moved up.
Yet the Spurs have gotten the number 1 pick, not once, not twice, but 3 different times.
Yeah, the only time the Mavs ever had the number 1 pick was the year after their expansion, their first season in the league. They had the worst record. They won 15 games that year, and they had the number 1 pick. They took Mark Aguirre. Obviously, they nailed the pick. He had a great career. And they have never, ever, ever had the number 1 pick since, and they've never moved up in the lottery ever since.
That's until DLLS Mavs showed up.
Yep.
On the scene.
This is the 40th draft lottery. It is time to end this nonsense, Adam Silver, Ernst & Young, all of y'all. I know you see me, Mark
Not
Tatum.
to call it out the firm.
Y'all are
as
listening.
well. That's crazy.
It's time to rig the machine, dude. Do what you got to do. Fix this.
Speaking of...
Yes.
That's a great callback. Speaking of teams who had the number 1 pick in years past, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they are in trouble. They are down 2-0 to the Indiana Pacers as they head back to Indiana for the next couple of games. Pacers looking to take a commanding 3-0 lead, but the Cavaliers could be getting healthy. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter trending toward being back for the Cavs, and they need them badly to try to avoid an 0-3 hole. Otherwise, Indiana is going to be headed to the conference finals for the second straight year under Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, it's tough in that series and in the other East series between Boston and New York, where it's like both the favored teams have they've just blown leads in both these games. Now Boston's been up 20 both times. Cleveland was up 20. Like it's like, all right, neither of those teams should be down 2-0. In fact, you could make the claim that Boston should really be up 2-0.
They
should
down
be 2-0. Like, so it's I don't know. Now going on the road, it is time to panic because you lose one of those games. It's kind of the series is kind of over.
Pretty much over.
But man, it's like the conflict between confidence and panic must be really, really strong among those fans right now.
Yeah, especially for the Celtics. I'm stunned. I'm literally stunned at the way the Celtics have blown 2 20-point leads in the third quarter. As we mentioned, they've missed 75 3-pointers in the first 2 games against the Knicks. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have been abysmal in the fourth quarter, and it's not going to get any easier when they go on the road, take on the best clutch player in the game right now and Jalen
Dude,
Brunson.
they were historically good last year. They were last year's Celtics teams is one of the best NBA teams of all time in terms of wins, stats, playoff record, everything. And now it's like, man, they look like they're ready to be done with it.
Yeah, they're in trouble. They're in trouble.
So weird.
Nuggets Thunder game 3 of their series on Friday night, as well as the Nuggets look to bounce back after a beatdown at the hands of the Thunder.
Minus 50 point differential, but it's 1-1, baby.
It's 1-1. That's
all
all that
tied
matters.
up. Who cares?
Well, you lose by 50 or by 1. It's tied at 1 going into game 3. Appreciate our guy Tanner making us look good and sound good as always. Thank you, sir. Our guys Mark Stein and Tim Cato will be back with us on Monday here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Special time at 6 p.m. So mark your calendar, 6 p.m. as we will be watching along with you when it comes to the NBA draft lottery, where we find out where the Dallas Mavericks will be drafting in the 2025 NBA draft. Thanks to Nick Angstadt for joining us on the show from Locked On Mavs today as well. That's our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Curl. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. Y'all have a good Mother's Day weekend. We'll talk to you Monday right here on DLLS Sports. Y'all be good. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.